Hey everyone, this is Naturalist James, and you're probably looking at this picture and you're probably seeing what does this groundhog, this woolly bear caterpillar, and this largemouth bass, what do they all have in common? Well, I'll tell you. Here in the great state of Ohio, we use these three different animals for our forecasters to tell us what's going to happen to our winter and spring seasons. So we're going to dive into each one of these guys and about their background and their tradition, I guess you could say, on what do we look at, or how these guys help predict the weather for us. So we'll start out with the woolly bear caterpillars. And when we're talking about the woolly bears, I know there are several different species, but the one that they're primarily looking at is the Isabella tiger moth caterpillar. And yes, up in Vermilion, Ohio, which is clear up by Lake Erie, they have the Woolly Bear Caterpillar Festival, which was established in 1973. So meteorologist Dick Goddard, this guy up here, I guess he just loved looking at the woolly bear caterpillars and decided, you know what, let's create a type of festival and let's see where it goes. And I've watched several YouTube videos, and it's kind of funny. When it first started in 1973, I guess it was very, very small. Now if you go to it, I guess there's hundreds of thousands of people. They only do it for one day. It's only in October time. They do it usually when the Browns aren't playing, because, you know, up in Cleveland, Ohio, the Browns are very popular up there. So when they're looking at the woolly bear for the winter prediction, what they're looking at is the orange band. And if you look at the caterpillar, it has 13 segments, which is great because it represents the 13 weeks of winter. So if you look here at this picture, you see these orange bands, and what people have kind of correlated is the amount of orange will tell us how mild our winter will be, but then the black will usually represent how harsh our winter will be. Now, one thing I do want to mention, and I know I'm kind of getting off topic a little bit, but if you see a completely black one, please don't freak out saying, oh my goodness, we're going to have a blizzard. It's going to be the worst winter we ever had, which, don't get me wrong, I guess it could always happen. But if you find a completely black caterpillar like this guy, it is actually a completely different species than the other woolly bear caterpillars or the Isabella tiger moth species that you're most familiar with. This is the giant leopard moth caterpillar. And yes, they are supposed to be all black. So our next forecaster I want to talk about, it's kind of a newcomer when it comes to the forecasting animals here in the state of Ohio, is this guy. This guy is called Benny the bass. And Benny is located in around Buckeye Lake, so kind of south of Columbus region. So the only information I could find, they basically started this tradition in 2019. If you know any other information of if they've been doing it longer, please let me know. But I guess the owner, he decided to start a fun tradition. And what he does is he will release a minnow right before sunrise. And this minnow will swim around. Obviously, Benny's going to be very hungry. And then they'll set a timer for 3 minutes. And within those 3 minutes, I guess Benny, how he reacts to the minnow will determine what's going to happen to the winter or spring season in the state of Ohio. So I guess what will happen is once the minnow goes in, people are cheering and they say, take the bait, spring can't wait. So yes, within the 3 minutes, if he eats the minnow, I guess a warm spring is just around the corner. But if Benny does not eat the minnow within the 3 minutes, then I guess we have 6 more weeks of a colder winter. And then our last Ohio forecasting animal is probably my favorite, is Buckeye Chuck, which is for our groundhog, for Groundhog Day. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I a little biased with Buckeye Chuck versus Benny the bass or the Vermilion woolly bear caterpillars? Well, that's because they do the prediction where I work at in Marion County, Ohio, at the WMRN radio station. Also, too, I've been helping out with the Buckeye Chuck prediction probably within the last 9 years. So this was last year of 2023. So as you see right there when I'm holding that, it's a stuffed groundhog. It is not the Buckeye Chuck. Sometimes I make a joke and I tell people and say, well, he made a bad call one winter. So again, it's just a joke. But yeah, I give out some fun facts, some ecology about the groundhog. So if you're on February 2nd in Marion, Ohio, come check me out. But back to a little bit of the history of Buckeye Chuck. We have to thank this guy, Charlie Evers, which is a very good friend of mine. He was a local broadcaster in Marion, Ohio, and he was very famous, not just Marion, but really across Ohio. He was just really great at talking to people, starting a lot of great events and charities in Marion County. And he really wanted to start the Groundhog Day prediction in Ohio because, as we know, out in Pennsylvania, they're famous for their famous groundhog, the Puxatawny Phil. And Charlie said, you know what, I want to hear for our state. So he had to pull some strings through state legislation. And yeah, in 1979, Buckeye Chuck became our official forecasting groundhog in Ohio. All right, so hopefully you enjoy this, and hopefully you learned about some of Ohio's forecasting animals. So which one's your favorite? Buckeye Chuck, the woolly bear caterpillars from Vermilion, Ohio, or Benny the Bass out in Buckeye Lake? And what are you hoping that they're going to predict? Are you hoping that they're going to predict a longer, colder winter or a warm spring around the corner? Let us know in the comments below.